Hey folks, Gway. Today we're going to have a little Bible study, and we're going to do something that I am loath to do. But this one struck me as an interesting thought experiment. There's a character in the Old Testament. The guy's name's Uriah the Hittite. Uriah, his story is found in the second book of Samuel, chapter 11. And really the only reason we hear about Uriah is because of his wife Bathsheba. Uriah was a soldier in David's army, very loyal soldier. I believe he was a very good soldier, very talented, very loyal. He loved his country, he loved his king. But his wife was a woman of extraordinary beauty. And one day David seen her bathing. And while Uriah was out in the field, while Uriah was out fighting David's wars, David sent for her, brought her to the palace. They had dinner together, conversation. Then David got her pregnant. Now, instead of owning up to it, David calls for Uriah. He has a scheme. And what he's going to do is he's going to bring Uriah back from the front, and he's going to send Uriah home. Send Uriah to his house where he will sleep with his wife. And when he sleeps with his wife, Uriah will assume that the child she is already carrying is his. So David brings Uriah back from the front. Some made-up mission. Feeds him, gives him something to drink, and he says, now, you've been doing such a great job. Go and go home to your house and spend the night with your wife. And then go back to the front tomorrow. But Uriah, he's a man of honor, a man of integrity. He has particular values and ideals. And so Uriah, instead of going back to his house, he sleeps in the gate of the palace on the ground, just wrapped in his clothes. He won't go home to spend that night with his wife in his house because his friends, his companions, his brothers in arms don't have the same privilege. And he doesn't want to enjoy anything that they aren't able to enjoy. They're experiencing the deprivation of war. He chooses to do the same, even though he's so close to his wife. David, he's frustrated, he's annoyed. He brings Uriah back in the next day and says, why didn't you go? Uriah explains the situation to him. David thinks, okay, great, I got one of these guys. David, more food, much more wine. Bible says he gets him drunk, thinking that Uriah, his values would be a little lubricated by the wine, and that he would be willing that night surely to spend with his wife, and Uriah doesn't. Man, Uriah holds on to his ideals. Uriah holds on to his integrity and to his honor, sleeps in the gate of the palace again, and the next day, David calls him forward and says, fine, go back to the front. But take this note to your commander. The note, for those that know the story, of course, the note is Uriah's death warrant. The note tells Joab, the commander, that send Uriah to the thickest part of the fight. And when the battle is at its worst, pull everybody out and leave Uriah there to die. David has him killed. David, the great king. David, the beloved of God. David, the one who slew Goliath. That David, writer of the Psalms, murders a man in order to protect his reputation, in order to protect how his people see him. Now, I've been thinking about this a long time. But in our world today, we are seeing And we ourselves will experience it, but we're seeing the test of Uriah left, right, and center. Now, obviously, 24/7 media, 24/7 opinions, videos everywhere, right? Cameras everywhere, microphones everywhere, catching every word, seeing every movement. But we are seeing over and over and over again people experiencing the test of Uriah. Because there are Davids out there. There are Davids out there offering us gifts, offering us privilege, offering us comfort, offering us passion, offering us luxury. But in order for us to accept and receive those gifts, we must act in ways that betray our ideals and values. We must abandon our personal integrity to some extent. And doing so, it changes us. We're not the same. And when the entire world sees us abandon our integrity and abandon our values and abandon our ideals for the sake of the blessings of another, it shatters us in their eyes. It ruins our reputation. We are seen as sellouts. A great example in the modern world of David and Uriah, I believe, is Trump and the Republicans. I mean, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, what did Ted Cruz say about Donald Trump? What did Lindsey Graham say about Donald Trump? What did Marco Rubio say about Donald Trump? And how many other countless people stood up and said, this man is not fit for the presidency in one form or another, in words. How many of them condemned him? How many of them put him down? How many of them called him out? How many of them told the world exactly what he was? And how many of them have switched their allegiance to him now? How many of them have accepted his gifts, his comforts, his passions? How many of them have accepted his luxuries, his privileges, to get on his side? And we in the world, we see that it has decimated their reputation. Now, that isn't to say that we used to believe in what they stood for, or we used to believe the same things we did, or we had those same values. No, we're not talking about all that. We're talking about this one thing. We're talking about this one thing that we, from our seats here in the world, the one thing that we have seen. They've sold out for what he offers. They failed the test of Uriah. And we've also seen some Republicans, some people standing up and saying, no, this is not okay. This is not acceptable. This is a bad thing. This is a bad precedent. This is bad behavior. This is a bad action. We're not going to get on board with this. We're not going to get on side with this. We are going to reject this. They've passed the test of Uriah, but like Uriah, they suffer for it. But this is the more honorable way. Again, I'm not saying that we have to agree with those people on other things. But at least in this one way, they are showing us some integrity and some backbone. And this is the better way, despite the fact that it may cost them their life, in whatever capacity that may appear. Davids are going to come knocking on our door. Davids are going to come and call us forward. And they are going to say to us, I see you are a person with ideals and values. I see that you are a person of honor. I see that you are a genuine, sincere person, a person of integrity. But I want to give you a gift. And all you have to do is get on board with me. All you have to do is allow me to use you All you have to do is allow me to feed off of you a little bit. And if you do that, I will give you pleasure, and I will give you comfort, and I will give you luxury, and I will give you privilege that others do not have. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that when those Davids come calling, we'll be strong enough, bold enough, aware enough that we will refuse them, that we will not bend, that we will not betray our integrity, that we will hold to our ideals and to our values, that we will be who we really are, that we will be who God truly created us to be, and that we will hold to the mission that God has placed in front of us. Amen. Nemultus.